Carl Frampton has joined the ranks of boxing superstars with his thrilling win over Leo Santa Cruz in New York.
The new WBA featherweight king also made history as Northern Ireland's first two-weight champion. Well, fans on both sides of the Atlantic have been celebrating. In a moment, we'll be reporting from Tigers Bay, where the jackal grew up. But first, our sports correspondent Ruth Gorman reports from New York, where the champion has been partying with his adoring fans.
He may be the only Northern Irishman to be crowned a world champion at two different weights, but Carl Frampton is still as humble as the first day he fought his first professional fight. He booked out an entire venue in New York for his travelling support before even knowing the outcome of his fight. That's practically unheard of from an athlete of his level, but he was determined to thank those who made the trip across the Atlantic.
Yeah, I just want to show a bit of appreciation to them. You know, they spent a lot of money. It's not cheap to get to New York. I had a lot of good text messages from people like I respect greatly. Kyle Lafferty, Stuart Dallas, Michael O'Neill, Martin O'Neill, all these guys. I've probably left a few out, but I can't wait to get back to Belfast. I can't wait to see. Hopefully the people have kind of picked up on the fight and they appreciate what I've done. And you know, I've made a wee bit of history here. It's great, and I just want to keep putting Belfast and Northern Ireland on the map. The boys and the Euros have done it. North and South, you know, they've done amazing this year. Both teams. I grew up in Tigers Bay in Belfast. It wasn't a nice area to grow up. I love the place, but I wanted it so much more than them, and that was the difference on the night.
Frampton's manager Barry McGuigan won the exact same WBA World Featherweight title 31 years ago. Unsurprisingly, he was emotional as Frampton was crowned champion.
Well, I was just thinking of my brother, who died tragically, and who would have, it meant so much to me, his help and support, and I know he would have been so proud of my son tonight, and so proud of Carl, and I was just praying to him that to get him through the last round, that he wouldn't make any mistakes, but I knew he was well ahead.
I know he's my best interest at heart, and that's something that's strange in this boxing game. Managers and promoters are out to rip a pound and take some money off people. I know Barry McGuigan loves me. He loves what I'm doing. He wants me to achieve everything for my family. So I'm in a very lucky situation, and I get a wee bit emotional sometimes talking about it, to be honest, because I feel like I'm in a lucky situation.
Frampton had the cream of the sporting world supporting him ringside on the night. Northern Ireland boss Michael O'Neill was joined by Rory McIlroy and Frank Lampard, to name a few.
I don't think I've ever been as nervous in my life. I really haven't, you know, whether it's been, you know, myself or watching teammates in the Ryder Cup or whatever. You know, to be sitting ringside and you know, watching hopefully, you know, sporting history be made, especially from where we're from. Where every second could be the end of the fight. You know, he handled himself so well. He was smart. He did what he needed to do. Just a great fight, great to be a part of, and my nerves were definitely shot at the end.
What did you say to him at the end?
Just unbelievable. So happy for him. Look, I know how, you know, I've met him a few times before, and I know how hard he works, and I know how dedicated he is, and to see a lifelong dream come true for him tonight, I just couldn't be happier for him.
So what's next for Frampton?
There's huge fights. A rematch is a possibility. He's talking about LA, but you know, I'm not going to LA. I'm the champion now. We can do this in Belfast. There's talk about a Selby fight, Gary Russell Jr. fight, unify a second division. You know, I never dreamed of that when I was, you know, when I started out. I wanted to be a world champion. That was it. I unified the super bantamweight division. I've won a second world title in a second weight division. I want to unify now. I want big names. I want big fights. I bring them on. Anyone who wants it, let's go.
Most of the American media thought that this fight would be a bridge too far for Frampton, but he showed the world just what he was made of, and now he wants to return big-time boxing back to Belfast. Ruth Gorman, UTV Live, New York.
Well, Carl has always been a hero back home in North Belfast.
Indeed he has, and fans in Tigers Bay backed him all the way, cheering on their champion as he fought his way to super fight victory. Richard Cull's been to meet some of his biggest supporters.
Carl Frampton's the fighting pride of Tigers Bay in North Belfast, and his journey to the top of the boxing world began at the local club, where he first laced up his gloves under the guidance of amateur coach Billy McKee. Now the whole area is basking in the glow of his historic world title win over Leo Santa Cruz. This is where Carl grew up, in Upper Canning Street, just off North Queen Street, and it really is a far cry from fighting for a world title in front of thousands of fans in the bright lights of New York City.
I'm from the ghetto, mate. I'm from T-Bay, mate. That's the ghetto.
He's just down to earth, Carl. You know, it hasn't went till his head. You know, so everybody around here is so proud of him.
Gives the young people show that they can do this too when they're older. That there's light at the end of the tunnel for these other young children growing up in the area.
He's a very solid, sound guy. He still comes in to see us from time to time. He hasn't forgotten where he comes from. I think his success is very well deserved. Really goes to show what hard work, dedication can do for a guy.
We just cannot believe that a guy from our area has just transformed and just put a shining light in this area. He's an example to all our young people.
At Carl's local chippy, where he's been coming since he was a teenager, they're all celebrating in his success.
They run about here, training across the road in the boxing club. Came in real down to earth. You know, now he's progressed in his ranks and done absolutely fabulous. He hasn't changed as a person he is. He'll still stop in the street and talk to you.
Carl's expected to return home later this week to a hero's welcome. Thousands turned out at Belfast City Hall to celebrate the Jackals' world title win over Kiko Martinez back in 2014. The champion will be bringing back the WBA featherweight belt, the same title Barry McGuigan won 31 years ago. Back then, the city centre was packed by fans who turned out to welcome the Clonus Cyclone home. Frampton's last two bouts mightn't have been on home soil, but with talk already turning to a possible super fight rematch against Leo Santa Cruz in Belfast, it looks like fight fans here won't have to wait too long for another knockout encounter. Richard Cole, UTV Live.
Carl Frampton, could he become the greatest Irish fighter of all time? Well, that's what his mentor Barry McGuigan thinks after the Belfast Men's Victory at the weekend. World champion not once, but twice. Mark Sidebottom is here, and what an achievement, Mark.
Unprecedented, Donna, and could not have happened to a more grounded or unassuming individual. Good evening, everyone. Carl Frampton, the boy from Tigers Bay, has taken New York City by storm. Northern Ireland's first two-weight world champion says he now wants his next fight to be in Belfast. That's after winning the WBA World Featherweight title in Brooklyn. He defeated previously unbeaten three-weight champion Leo Santa Cruz of Mexico on a majority decision. From Manhattan, BBC Newsline's Thomas Keane reports.
It really has been an incredible few months for Carl Frampton. In February, he unified the super bantamweight division, but Saturday's win here in a fight-mad city like New York has propelled him to another level, not just within his own sport, but also in the eyes of the American public. His bout has already been heralded here as a fight of the year after a truly unforgettable night in Brooklyn.
And the new WBA champion Frampton has his moment.
This was Carl Frampton's sweetest moment in the ring. The winner of a fight that will be remembered for years to come. He rose to the occasion on the big stage as the two undefeated stars went toe-to-toe in the Big Apple. But it was Frampton who seemed in control, as Leo Santa Cruz felt the full force of the Belfast man's power. It went the distance, and while one judge scored to find a draw, Frampton was declared the clear winner by the other two officials.
I thought that I won the fight. I thought that I won it by a couple of rounds, but obviously being away from home, who knows what's going to happen. But the judging was very fair. I think it was a close fight, but I definitely deserved to win it. It was a big statement. That puts me among the top fighters in the world, I think. You know, I unified the super bantamweight division in February. I've just beat a three-weight world champion in the next fight, so I believe that puts me up with the top fighters in the world, and maybe touching pound for pound top 10.
Tonight, Carl Frampton has just put himself in the Hall of Fame. Without a doubt, he will be a Hall of Fame fighter because of that performance. And it's won a new title, first Northern Ireland man to ever do it, He's in the fight of the year without a doubt, and I guarantee you that he will be voted into the Hall of Fame 6 years after he retires. I know, because of that performance tonight.
What were the emotions like during the fight?
I've never been as nervous before at a sporting event, even whether it be Ryder Cup or myself or watching Northern Ireland, or it's when you're there, and I don't think there's any better show in sport than a boxing fight, especially when two great fighters are going toe to toe like that. So nervousness, anxiety, there was a lot going on, but just glad obviously he got the win in the end.
What next?
I don't know. Potentially a rematch with Santa Cruz. A fight with Selby's been talked about. Gary Russell Jr. is a WBC champion. Maybe try and unify with him. I want to fight at Belfast. You know, I love Belfast. You know, the people, I don't want them to have to pay top money to come out and support me in the States all the time. I would like to fight in Belfast at least once a year. I'm in the driving seat now and I want to bring them to Belfast.
Frampton is going to spend a few days relaxing and sightseeing with his family here, but he will return home one of the hottest properties in this sport. He's always dreamt of fighting at Windsor Park, with a bout likely to take place there next summer. After his stateside heroics, New York has fallen in love with Carl Frampton, but the 29-year-old is determined to add to his legacy in his own home city. Thomas Kane, BBC Newsline, Brooklyn.
I'm just a working class fella from Belfast who can fight a wee bit. That's what Frampton told the media in Brooklyn after landing the title. He then booked out a Manhattan bar and threw open the doors to his travelling fans. And what's more, picked up the bill.
The boys from Belfast, we all believe in him. All Northern Ireland believe in him. Ireland believe in him. We knew when we came out here that he was going to spark Santa Cruz, and he did. He sparked them in the second round, and he done him. And the new world champion!
How much of the fans enjoyed meeting him, shaking his hand, getting a photograph, or even just a chat with a world champion?
Well, it's nice to be able to do that because he's such a down-to-earth guy from Tigers Bay and North Belfast, and most of the guys that are here.
I honestly believe if he had a loss last night, he would have done the same thing. It just shows a measure of him, and he appreciates everybody that travelled over, so fair play to him, absolutely super, and it's great to be here. I was in the Euros as well, I've been with the kids away on holiday, and now I'm here. The bank manager's crying at me, but sure, back to work tomorrow, which is going to be a bigger struggle.
Just how good was Carl last night?
It was amazing, you know, going up in weight, fighting the best guy in his division, you know, a former free weight world champion, undefeated. He was really up against over here in the States. He really had to rise to the occasion, and he did that in fantastic style. He was going toe to toe with a great Mexican guy who can throw some tremendous hooks. He stood in range, let his hands go, and he came out on top in every exchange.
Framptons on fire! Santa Cruz is terrified! Framptons on fire! Ooh!
I'd say they're still partying. We still await confirmation of the precise plans around the homecoming, but it should be fun. The fight now might have taken place on the other side of the pond, but the ripples have been felt all the way back here in Belfast and, of course, beyond. So what will Carl Frampton's historic win do for the sport of boxing here, where amateur clubs are so often community hubs? Maggie Taggart reports.
The fans probably haven't come down to earth yet, but for some who'd made the trip of a lifetime to the fight in New York, it was time to come home. The excitement of being at the win will stay with them.
We were sort of half expecting that he would win, but we're even hopeful that he would win. But to win in such a style that he did win, in a unanimous points decision, it was something unheard of.
As they landed at Belfast International, thoughts were already turning to the next venue.
They're hoping maybe at Windsor Park or somewhere of a similar nature, and it would be fabulous if we could have him defend his new world title in Belfast. There's an awful lot of things that has to come together for something like this to happen in Belfast, and we hope for the best that it will.
Northern Ireland is said to punch above its weight in boxing, and a former champion predicts this win will draw the crowds of young people.
You just have to look around you, people are excited, people are happy. You go into any boxing club now, should it be Tigers Bay, should it be the Falls Road, and the boxing clubs will be coming down. Kids will be all wanting to be Carl Frampton. Now they've seen somebody from here he's going to be on a world stage and they'll all want part of that.
This coach was presented with an award by Carl Frampton earlier this year. He's hoping that the latest success will bring a boost to the coffers of amateur clubs as funders realise how popular the sport is.
Hopefully the funders will look at that and think, can we help? Can we latch on and be part of the next superstar coming through?
You wouldn't say no?
Absolutely not, no.
So when Carl Frampton defends his title, whenever that may be, could it be here at the Titanic Slipway where he drew such huge, loyal home crowds back in 2014? The venue could be here at the Windsor Park Stadium when it's ready to take a big crowd, but perhaps the TV rights and the lure of big money will mean that the next big fight would have to be in the United States. So, Frampton fans, time to start saving. Maggie Taggart, BBC Newsline.
Carl's weekend purse, $500,000. I'll bet there'll be bigger paydays to come. I'll have the rest of the sport a little later on. That's it for now.